Hello, everyone, and welcome to this BA Collab Hour webinar, an intro to AHHHROMA. Oh, can you guys mute? An intro to AHHHROMA, the new extreme hop variety. My name is Joe Damgard. I'm the Sales Activation Manager here at the Brewers Association. Before we get started today, I just want to go through a couple quick tips. If you have any questions to ask throughout the presentation, be sure to use that Ask a Question feature at the bottom of your screen. You can certainly utilize the chat throughout the presentation, but any questions should go there just to make sure that we don't miss any at the end of the presentation. If you have any connectivity issues, try a quick refresh on your end. If that doesn't work, just put it in the chat and someone from the BA will try to help you troubleshoot any issues. Another reminder, the slides from the presentation are available at the download presentation green button at the bottom of your screen. We're also recording this presentation. It will be available at this very same link shortly after we wrap up today, and then it'll move to the BA website and will be archived there. That's about all that I have for you today. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to a very festive Tom Britz, the CEO and founder of Glacier Hops Ranch. Tom, why don't you go ahead and take us away?
Okay, you know what today is on the calendar. It's St. Patty's Day. We're quite festive here in Whitefish, Montana. We are pleased that Glacier Hops Ranch is sponsoring this week's topic, an intro to AHHHROMA, the new extreme dual purpose hop. So having said that, let's get right into it. Now that we've got our technical issues squared away. I'm the CEO of Glacier Hops Ranch in Whitefish, Montana. I'm pleased to share that this is going into our 10th year now. It's a far cry from some of the centuries or more, like some of the large multinational hop merchants and suppliers. But hey, 10 years is 10 years. We're happy to be there. Chris Hudson is our key accounts manager. He's based in the outdoor enthusiast and craft beer centric town of Bend, Oregon. Chris came to us after a stint as U.S. sales manager for Charles Ferrum. And before that, he supported breweries with G4 kegs. Before that, he was a commercial brewer for about a 10-year stint in Oregon. And brewing with you guys, hey, that's his passion. Chris, say hello and add any other color you'd like to your background.
Yeah, hello, everyone. So as Tom mentioned, I brewed here in Oregon for about 10 years. I've been in the industry going on my 16th year this year. And I'm really happy to be a part of the Glacier Hops team.
Okay, so we'll talk about what we're planning on doing. We're really going to try to give you a 360-degree view of this new AHHHROMA variety, and it's going to be at a very high level. We'll be talking about what it is, what's the sensory and the alpha, where it's grown. This is actually kind of an important piece, where it's grown, where it came from, basics like how it's packaged and in what formats it's currently available. Where you can find it and what brewers are saying. And at the end, we've got a very, very interesting incentive, so stay tuned for that. So let's talk about what it is. At a very high level, AHHHROMA is a high alpha, high oil, dual purpose variety. The analysis has been showing us the alpha ranging from high to very high, about 14.5 to 18.5%. The total oils are also on the very high side, 2.2 to 3.5%. And in a nutshell, that's why we call it an extreme dual purpose variety. Chris, you want to walk us through the sensory here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very unique hop, very multi-layered as well. You know, when you first rub it, you get notes of the pine. You kind of get a little bit of the mango, a little bit of stone fruit. But once you brew with the beer or you turn it into a hop tea for just analysis alone, that's when you start getting the pineapple, the mango, the pina colada. One note that really stuck out more than the rest, I think, for me was the lime. It's got a real nice lime backbone that blends well with the rest of the flavors. And then you get the stone fruits such as apricot. That's the one that sticks out the most. A little bit of honeydew, and on the very back end of it all, you get the cinnamon and nutmeg. All within the flavor aroma profile. But this hop really shines once it's been brewed with, and that's where all these flavors really come to life.
And I think it's fair to say, Chris, that we're still getting more feedback from brewers as they continue to start to use this.
Absolutely, as this is a brand new hop for us in pellet form, we're still learning a lot about it.
I'd also like to add that it makes an excellent hop seltzer. It's fruity with all of these characteristics. In fact, if you're going to attend the CVC in Minneapolis, you'll be able to pick up a can of this year's Zero hop seltzer, which does contain AHHHROMA hop soil. It's got a hint of citric acid, natural sweetener to balance it out. And like the can says, 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs. And yes, Joe, since we're not allowed to give away alcoholic beverages at the registration desk, 0 alcohol. But be sure to pick up a can while you're there and grab the recipe from either our booth or the Beer Hospitality Lounge. So we only grow AHHHROMA in one location right now, and that's in Northwest Montana at Flathead Valley Hops. They've been a good partner with us. Some of the factors that contribute to this being a rich hop growing area, it's a fairly new hop growing area. I was the first commercial grower back we started in 2012, 2013. Nobody knew that hops could grow here, but we're finding out over the years that this is turning into a real solid hop growing area. But it starts with the latitude. Flathead County, Montana is actually right between the latitude of the Hallertau-Tettnang regions in Germany and the Saz hop producing region of the Czech Republic. The soil, now if there was everything as soil envy, this Creston topsoil at Flathead Valley Hops would be it. It's black, sandy loam, 5 to 8 feet deep, thick, and it's full of glacial organic residue material, and it's known to be the best farming soil in the state of Montana. The microclimate. There's actually several microclimates in the Flathead Valley. Flathead County alone is the size of the entire nation of Slovenia, where 3% of the U.S. of the global hop production is, and it's about the size of the state of Connecticut. So, yeah, it's a pretty big area, lots of microclimates. We tend to focus on the microclimate in the center of the Flathead Valley, on the north side of the Flathead Lake, which is the largest natural freshwater lake west of the Mississippi River. Flathead Lake creates kind of a heat sink that protects for probably 6 decades now, they've been growing the famous Flathead cherries there. And you wouldn't think of cherries as being a big crop, but it was the #1 ag crop when I moved here 26 years ago. And the Flathead cherries tend to be much sweeter than their counterparts grown in other parts of the country. The valley floor is surrounded by mountain ranges, the Swan Range on the east side, and the Salish Mountains on the west side, but you can actually see 5 mountain ranges from the center of the valley, and you can see into Glacier National Park, into those mountains as well. July and August, major growing months, typically average 27 to 28 days of sunshine. That's the 30-year average, and the evenings cool off thanks to the proximity to the mountains with the cooler high air sinking down into the valley, so it cools off nicely. It's also semi-arid, not as dry as Yakima, with its average 8 inches or so of annual precipitation. But when you compare it to the U.S. average of 38 inches, or say the northern part of lower Michigan at 37.1 inches a year precipitation, I'd say 13.5 inches a year that could be pretty well described as semi-arid. The Flathead Valley is not as high in elevation as other parts of the state, other parts of the Rocky Mountain region. We're sitting at right about 3,000 feet, again, contributing to those cooler summer evenings. Last but not least is the experience of these farmers at Flathead Valley Hops. It's a 4th generation farming family with decades of experience in orchards and other crops and a keen understanding of agronomics. I think it's made their transition to becoming the newest major producer of hops made it easier. Nothing is easy, of course, especially growing hops, but Hunter Riddle and his family's agriculture experience is a critical component. I've seen it firsthand. My hat's off to them. They've blown us away. And this is not their first rodeo. They do know how to grow stuff. So again, this latitude issue is worth repeating. Hops are a photovoltaic plant, and as such, they need lots of hours of sunlight during the growing season. When I started growing here at Glacier Hops Ranch, the northern latitude that we're at, less than an hour from the Canadian border's 49th parallel, I thought it might be too far north until I learned that our latitude was smack roughly the same as the major hop growing regions in Europe. It's another important piece of the puzzle, and I don't want to minimize it. So let's talk about the formats that are available. For the first time, we finally have AHHHROMA in pellets. We've got them in T90s. I'll get into the development of AHHHROMA shortly, but when we started real small with this variety, we put it all into hop soil for the first few years. We just didn't have much acreage. There was very little available. So putting this into pellets is a significant development for us. I'm really pleased that the quality of the pellets has turned out like it has. Flathead Valley Hops installed a new state-of-the-art new ag pelleting line, and it's giving us a real nice quality pellet. It's not so soft that you end up with lots of fines in the bag, not so hard that they don't dissolve in beer, but they seem to have found that sweet spot where they dissolve pretty quickly in hot or cold liquid, and so nothing is wasted. We've heard some really nice positive comments from brewers who've seen these nice quality pellets for the very first time. That kind of validates it to us that the investment that Flathead Valley Hops made into this pelleting line has been worthwhile. As I mentioned, it's also available in hop soil, and now it's available in both Magic, which is a clear, and Hazy, which is obviously for hazy IPAs and other beers or beverages where turbidity is desired. So that it's actually been available for some time in the oil. And the big difference there is within the last year, we have the water-soluble oils. We do love giving away free samples, and stay tuned until the end for instructions on how to get yours. We've also got a pilot pack, a 1 pounder, 1 pound foil, or a ½ kilogram foil pack for brewers who want to try a pilot batch. Plus, we've got 11-pound foils and 44-pound boxes with 4x11 foils, and these are in stock now. I want to add a little clarity here on hop soil versus traditional hop extracts. Almost all brewers are familiar with CO2 extracts. So a typical CO2 extract on the left, it's going to contain your alpha acids. Usually the contents are defined by what the guaranteed alpha is in grams. And it also contains beta acids, hop oils, and a host of other compounds that can be extracted through the CO2 supercritical extraction process. It's a very efficient extraction process. But CO2 extraction uses a different raw ingredient. They have to use dried and or processed hops. Freshwater hops, that just doesn't work in CO2 extraction. The moisture content of the plant material for CO2 to work efficiently, it's got to be below 12% moisture. And with dried hops coming in at an average of 8.5 to 11% moisture, that's a really good extraction method. But you don't get the fresh stuff. So if you use fresh, wet hops right from the field, like we do with hop soil, those hop cones, they're coming in at about 75 to 80% moisture. And again, you can't use CO2. You can only do what we do, and that's steam distillation. I suppose you could use ethanol extraction or some other things, but we like steam distillation because there's no residual anything left from it. And with that steam distillation, with those distilleries right on the farm, the hops literally have to go from the field to the distillery to capture all of the oils that were in the field at the peak of ripeness during that narrow window when that particular variety might be ripe. The difference in viscosity, looking at the picture, it's pretty obvious. CO2 extract, if you worked with it, you know it's heavy and thick, kind of almost like a chunky honey or thick motor oil. By contrast, the hop soil viscosity, it's almost like extra virgin olive oil. I should point out that hop soil contains only the oils and contains 0 alpha acids. There's no bittering component with hop soil. So that's a key distinction there. You're still going to need bittering hops or alpha extract. I should also add that the picture there of the hop soil on the right, that is pure hop soil. And so by the time we emulsify it, the magic is a little thicker than that. The hazy is thicker yet in order to add the haze components for that. So, but the pure oil versus the pure CO2 extract, quite a difference. If you're unfamiliar with the dosing procedures or dosing rates on hop soil, Chris or any member of our team, they can help you with that. Okay, here's the question we frequently get. Where did AHHHROMA come from? So I can definitely say this. It came out of our efforts in our original research hop yard at Glacier Hops Ranch. So back in 2013, we started out by growing, I believe it was 17 different varieties, and then grew it to, I think, 44 different varieties the following year. It was pretty high intensity. A lot of stuff got mixed up. Some of the results were intentional. Some, honestly, were not intentional. I would describe AHHHROMA as a found variety, not unlike how Amarillo or Idaho Gem came to be. They did not come out of a breeding program either, just like AHHHROMA did not come out of a breeding program. It was a pleasant accident, but we did find it. We liked the aroma a lot, so we planted some more, and we got more and more encouraged by the early results. We only grow it in Montana. I'm a firm believer in terroir, and the terroir of that microclimate and soil in that part of the Flathead Valley, I'm convinced has to be a contributor. As I mentioned, the first few years it was only available in hop soil, and we didn't have enough of it to put into pellets, but now we do. The irony from my chair is that we found this great aromatic hop and had no pellets. Without pellets, we had no way to capture the alphas, but now we do. And the combination of that great aroma and the high alpha is pretty interesting and, dare I say, extreme. The agronomics have proven to be excellent. It's a good yielder at about 2,300 pounds an acre, and it's an early to mid ripening variety. Chris has been working with some brewers on early tests, and I'd like him to share what they're finding. Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you to get some insight on some of these brewers' experience to date.
Sure. So we recently worked with Hop Valley here in Oregon on the innovation side with Patrick over there, who is the head of innovations. We did 100% dry hopped AHHHROMA with, we only used the oil on this. We used no T90s in the dry hopping. So we went about 10 milliliters per barrel on a 15 barrel batch for 150 milliliters in total. We did use T90s on the hot side during the boil on the 5 and 10 minute additions at a rate of half a pound per barrel. With that, we got a really strong piney flavor initially from the nose. Once we dry hopped it, we got the tangerine and lime were the most predominant notes that showed through it. Again, with the pina colada and the citrus stone fruit kind of flavors coming through, tangerine and apricot would be the most notable flavors of both the citrus and the stone fruit that shine through. It's a great hop to work with due to its versatility and flavor profile. One thing that we haven't done at this time is blended it with any other varieties. So we do think that because of the flavor profile that comes off of this hop, our AHHHROMA, that mixing it with more piney floral hops will let this hop shine its most predominant flavors, such as the pina colada and the lime flavor. A quote from Patrick. It's Patrick at Hop Valley is AHHHROMA is a variety that is reminiscent of the Great Northwest varieties that have become staples from the West Coast. Oneness is the same hop. The Oneness series uses the same hop for bittering and dry hopping to trial the exact profile of a single variety. The goal is to get to know the flavor profile of a single variety so that they can learn how to blend each variety to bring out the best flavors overall. Aroma fits that bill very greatly, and they're very excited to work on blending with some staple hops moving forward.
Cool. So I just want to confirm. So they use the AHHHROMA pellets, the AHHHROMA T90s in the boil for bittering.
Yes.
And then the oil for dry hopping, or liquid dry hopping, I guess might be the right way to approach that.
Yeah, so once fermentation was done and the yeast was dumped, they transferred into a bright tank. They added the 150 milliliters of hops oil into the bright tank and then carbonated. So
one of the things that I found interesting, we were supposed to get a corny keg here in the office to test, weren't we, Chris? What happened there?
Yeah, a whole lot of things happened there. The beer sold quite well at the tap when they first tapped it, and they quickly sold out of it. So they did not have enough to share, unfortunately. I was lucky enough to get a few crowlers to the tune of 6, and I got to share that with some brewers locally and get some feedback from them. But unfortunately, we were not able to get the pony keg up to you in Whitefish.
You know, the funny thing is the proof is always in the pudding, and the pudding is always how a test beer sells at the tap room. And we were both chagrined and excited to hear that, darn, we didn't get any of that for us to taste, but thrilled to death that it sold out so fast. So that was a good thing, I guess, to hear. What are you hearing from other brewers? Because I know it's early to get this into the hands. They're commenting about the pellets, about the rub. What other things are you hearing?
People are really excited to work with it as new varieties come out. You know, there's a lot of fatigue out there in the marketplace, unfortunately, with new varieties. But what I'm seeing with Aroma is it's got enough common flavor aromas when you smell it that brewers are getting really excited about it.
Cool. That's cool. Well, okay, then. Well, then I think it's time to share an incentive with everybody listening here. So I'm pleased to announce the AHHHROMA Bounty Program. This is kind of fun stuff. So based on these preliminary reviews that we've had from brewers, we're hearing that some brewers think it can be a pretty special variety. So we created this incentive program. Initially, we selected 3 major beer competitions: the GABF, the World Beer Cup, and the Best of Craft Beer Awards. Down the road, there may be more, but this is where we're starting. If you use AHHHROMA hops in your beer for bittering or for aroma, doesn't matter, and win a gold medal, you get $1,000. You get a cool grand. Silver medal gets you $500, and a bronze gets you $250. There is some easy to follow fine print. It's good for any of these competitions in 2022, 23, or 24. So plan ahead. It's good for any beer category. The most arduous requirement is you have to pre-register with us. We're just validating that aroma was used in the recipe. It's not a huge deal. And there's no cost for you to register it with us. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And we love giving away money to hardworking brewers, especially innovation brewers. We also get asked, where can I get this stuff? Currently, there are either pellet or hop soil distributors in all of these countries. And if you happen to be viewing this outside of the US, which I know that there are some, we can point you in the right direction if you happen to be in one of those countries. Honestly, we all know that it's a bit of an awkward time in Russia. We've got a good distributor there whom I do consider to be a good friend. But until the situation changes, that's probably not realistic for the foreseeable future. But here in America, you can either get it from us here at Glacier Hops Ranch or from Yakima Quality Hops, obviously in Yakima, as well as from Alpha Hop Sales in Parma, Idaho. Okay. We'd love to get you some samples. If you're here in the US or even Canada, it's really easy for us to get them for you. Free samples are available in both pellets and water-soluble hop soil, and you can simply drop an email to us at the info@glacierhopsranch.com email address on the screen, or you can give us a call at that 862-HOP, area code 406 phone number, and we'll be happy to help you out. I've also mentioned that pilot pack in either a 1 pound or half kilo foil. Those are available for a nominal cost, and we've taken that a step further with our pilot 6-pack. Now every brewer knows what a 6-pack is. This one's a little different. We've combined AHHHROMA pellets in a pilot pack with 5 other varieties that we think deserve some promoting or at least increased awareness. We're pretty high on Zappa from CLS Farms, which now has a wider cultivation and more production, including being grown here in Montana. It was previously really hard to get, and frankly, we've got a bunch of it. And I tell you what, at harvest, it was so interesting. I think is the best way that I can describe it. We also included Triumph, the new public variety that was introduced literally months before the pandemic hit. I think it was introduced at harvest of 2019, and we all know what happened in February and March of 2020. So lots of innovation among craft brewers that would have normally ensued in 2020 didn't because of the pandemic, and tap rooms were shut down and everybody just pivoted to known, tried and true. And there was a period of lack of innovation from our viewpoint. And we think Triumph deserves to get some of your attention. That's one of the reasons why I included that. We've also been able to obtain some Vista, that new public variety that was recently announced that came out of the Hop Research Council's program. And I want to officially grant or give a tip of the Irish hat to the Hop Research Council for their efforts in developing Vista. We've seen a distinct difference in El Dorado from the early harvest to mid-season harvest to the late season harvest. And it's enough of a distinction that we thought that you as brewers should really have the opportunity to understand that distinction. So we've included a pilot pack of both in the 6-pack. We are running a special promotion on these pilot 6-packs. So again, if you're interested, just ask us. And that's about it. Thanks for your attention, everybody. We've got some time for questions. Joe, do you have any questions that have come through?
Yeah, Tom, it looks like we have a couple. Let me just get right in here and see what we have. First up from Adam asks, he says he read the typical dosage is in the range of 4.6 to 6.2 milliliters per barrel, or 0.15 to 0.21 milliliters per gallon. Is that just for beer, or is that also applicable to hop seltzer water?
That's a really good question, Adam. So we have refined our dosing rates, and it really depends if it's a partial substitution. Let's say you're doing 2 pounds per barrel in a juicy IPA, and you cut it back by 50% or by 2/3 or by 75%. You've still got some pellets that you're putting into dry hopping. In that case, the rule of thumb is about 5 milliliters per barrel for every pound replaced. But if you're doing 100%, a full replacement, what we found is that 8 to 10 milliliters per barrel is the better dosing rate. And the reason for that is because there's no other hop aroma flavonoids for the hop soil to hang on to. So in that case, where it's a full replacement, we're recommending 8 to 10%. I think that 4.6 to 6.2, that's an old number, and we've really learned that there is a big distinction between whether you do a full replacement or a partial replacement. With regard to the hop soil, with the seltzer, that's a different animal altogether because there's not going to be anything there. I'll tell you what we did last year when we developed the recipe for the seltzer that we gave away at the CBC. What we did is we started out with the I guess rule of thumb dosage that we used for beer. We didn't think it was enough, so we kept adding to it in increments until it got to a point that everybody who was in the sensory panel said, "Whoa, that's too much," and we backed it down to a point where everybody felt that, okay, that's, you don't have to hunt for it. The flavor is obviously there. It's not subtle. It's something that everybody, it was unanimous that was the right way, but it was considerably more than the 5 or 10 milliliters per barrel range. And we tend to measure everything by barrel increments. We do a lot of business internationally, and so when I talk barrels, I immediately think 0.85 is a hectoliter and mentally do the gymnastics to back into that. And you'd have to do the math to back from a barrel into a gallon. But I would say for a seltzer, I would recommend that the dosing rate is it's going to be more than with beer, and B, you're really, in order to get the flavor combination that you're looking for, my recommendation is to start small and increase your dosage using a base, a little citric acid, and either simple sugar or another natural sweetener. We've got quite a bit of interest already in a 0 calorie, 0 carb hop soil seltzer. And so we've got some suggestions on how to achieve that without one of those artificial sweeteners that tends to lead a bitter taste in your mouth. We've got a good natural plant-based one that we're recommending for that. So I hope that answers the question. Seltzer, you're going to use more.
All right. Just had another question coming from Joel, who asks, what is the polyphenol content? More specifically, is it good for adding haze to hazy beers?
I honestly don't know what the polyphenol content is to add haze. The hazy is not is using a plant-based material to add the haze, and it's a proprietary natural ingredient. It is designed not to create the haze. It is designed to enhance or support the haze. We've only had that since the middle of summer, June or July. I think it was July when we got the new format of hazy in. We've been doing shelf life tests with the hazy, and preliminarily, it looks like at least 120 days it stays in suspension. We think the potential is longer than that, but I hope that answers the question in terms of what it is and staying in suspension.
All right. Another question here from Thomas, who asks, what company supplies Aroma, your hops, to Finland? Do you have a supplier there?
We do. NWP Partners and Melko Brew in Finland, and they've got some in stock right now.
Excellent.
I can, if you want to email me, I can give you their email and phone number, their contact information.
All right, perfect. We just have a couple other comments that I want to share with you. One from Pedro. He says, hey guys, congrats for the live. Here's Pedro Machado from NP Brewing Brazil, your partner, and some days we'll have AHHHROMA to put in our customers here. Very happy with it. Cheers, my friends. That comes from Pedro. We have a Caleb who's asking, will there be a certificate of participation for today? Maybe you guys can send him some hops.
Maybe we can. I'd be happy to. If you can just make sure that we've got your contact information, we'll be happy to send you a thank you along with some hops. Maybe we'll do is we'll send Chris, what do you think if we send a packet of, instead of just AHHHROMA hops, maybe we do the AHHHROMA, the Zappa, those 2 Eldorados, and maybe something else.
The Vista or the Triumph, maybe.
Yeah,
we can absolutely do that.
Okay.
All right, Caleb, reach out with your information, and they'll hook you up. It sounds like.
You betcha.
Looks like that was our last question, but we do have some time here. So if you have a question, add it there, and we will get to that right away. But Tom, Chris, do you have anything else to add? Any other frequently asked questions about AHHHROMA that we can address for folks?
Boy, I can't think of anything offhand. We tried to give a 360-degree view of this. Like any new hop, we encourage brewers to test it, try it. I'm a big fan of trying small, failing small, and setting myself up for large success. So it's one of the reasons why we came up with the small packages for brewers to try. So absolutely, we'd love to get this stuff in your hands to play with, and we really are encouraging feedback.
One thing I should mention is Oh, go ahead.
Were you going to talk about a hop tea?
I was going to talk about scalability.
Very good.
Where we're at with acreage. So I was just going to say, I think this last year we did 10 acres, and we're moving that up to 15 acres coming into crop 22. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So there will be more than enough available if this is something you guys like and you want to work with it more. Know that this isn't just like a 3 or 4 acre hop that we're working with. There is the availability to scale with production.
And we also have the ability to add, there's more acres available that actually is trellis already strung, so we can add more to that as well. Kelly behind me kind of helping me color between the lines. She reminded me that hop tea is a great way to, with these samples, is a great way to get the aromatics out of it. And we actually recommend doing both a hot hop tea and a cold hop tea, because you're going to get a difference in there, and the how would I describe it? The speed of the pellets dissolving in the liquid, obviously faster in hot water than in cold water, but it really helps you define what it is. We did this when we first got these pellets, and we compared them to some other public varieties and proprietary varieties. It was an interesting test. I strongly encourage you to do that in addition to just doing your rubs when you get the samples.
Excellent. We haven't had any more questions come in, but I do want to say thank you again to Glacier Hops Ranch, to Tom and Chris for the information today. Lots of good stuff there. Looks like we have a handful of people that are interested in hops. So maybe, Tom, you want to share that information again? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
You bet. There it is. There it is. info@glacierhopsranch.com, or just jump on the phone, area code 406-862-HOPS, which is 4677.
Perfect. Well, excellent. Thanks again. Just want to remind you that the slides from today are available at that download presentation button at the bottom of your screen. The recording will be available shortly after we wrap up today. That's all for me. Tom, Chris, do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, thanks again, as always, Joe. You're doing a great job. We really appreciate what the BA does for us.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next Collab Hour. Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a great day.